Hello, how are you?
I'm really, really good, enjoying Newcastle.
It's so lovely to have you here at Timeless Textiles exhibiting, Lorna.
Yes, it was just so good to be able to meet you in person and to get everything unloaded and to see the works up in this really gorgeous space.
Yes, it's beautiful. And what a journey you've been on.
3 years. 3 years
making
of
these beautiful brushes.
researching, making them, finding them, and then adapting to my sense of place. So the rationale behind the exhibition or the making of the brushes was to explore my own visual lexicon. So that was really important for me, and I wanted to kind of make my work come together because I had a love of fibre as well as paint, and I wasn't doing enough drawing. So the mark making by using these funny little brushes or large brushes has just opened up a huge channel within me.
And what does Lexiconical mean for you?
It's exploring my own visual language. So lexicon is all about language, and I wanted to push this whole lexiconical journey as far as visual language, and it's just been incredible. I've grown so much by doing workshops as well as placing it into my own life as well, my own paintings, sourcing it, healthy for me to walk along the riverbank and things like that as well. So it keeps me moving. I like the action of making the brushes, and I can relate it so much to my love of the Australian landscape where I've been on residencies.
When was the moment that you thought, I'm going to start making these beautiful objects?
I was on a residency in Venice in Italy, and it was an exhibition and working with some international artists at Casanati in Canreggio. I wanted to catch up with a really good Facebook friend called Alison B. Cook, and she was teaching in Florence. On our third night together, after we just connected on so many different levels, she said, I want to make brushes, and have you ever done that? And I said, no, but I really want to do it. So we set each other a challenge. Alison made 4, and I've lost count. These ones are really quite large brushes, and some of the first ones that I made that were really oversized. I love pushing the boundaries of, what is a brush form, and I just think it's just incredible what I can do with this particular one here is a Pandilla River mouth root. This is an old Nandina from my garden that I'm not very good at looking after plants, but I ended up making this one kind of like a crown, and I started making tiny little smudgy brushes, but I wanted to make a ginormous smudgy brush as well. In this particular room that we have here at the moment, it's all about the earth, so I've got inspiration from ocean and earth from all of the places that I've been. I'm standing in front of the pianola scrolls. The whole idea of using the pianola scrolls was that they were a really long piece of paper. I love the fact that you could actually see through them. I love the fact that it had the little marks where it went through the pianola scrolls and the words there as well. So they're 10 metres long, and in this particular case you've probably only got half of them here now. But all of the marks that are made on here, other than a few little bits and pieces with markers and pencil, were made with my handmade brushes, my smudgy brush, my calligraphic brush, my a fairly long brush just made out of crochet cotton. You can see it here where I've done this particular shape. All of the shapes here are inspired by the Australian landscape, but I love it. By the time I've exhausted the ink through there, I then start slapping it or hitting it onto the edge of the paper, and you can actually see the threads come apart, and I just love these really beautiful textures, and I just really enjoy that brush, and most people really enjoy that brush when they make it as well.
It seems to me that making your own brush just slows down that process rather than rushing in and grabbing a brush and going for it and making marks. It actually makes it a whole lot slower and more purposeful.
Yeah, and I think because it's you've got that connection with, well, where did I find this brush? What do I want to make with this brush? And how can I connect it to me as an artist as well? So, initially when people start making their brushes, they get a little bit excited by it, but then that's why a 3-day workshop is really good, because by the time they've finished that first day of mark making, they kind of slow down and have a look at what they've made. And that's happened with me as well by contemplating my past. This particular one here is called the Cartographer's Dream, and I always wanted to be and go to art school, and I wasn't allowed to. I had to get a real job, so I became a map maker. So I did a lot of cartographic work. So this one has got references to me as a cartographer, map maker, as well as fragments of my residency in Venice with the poster peels that are melded in with some engineering drawings, and also my Australian landscape places, the residencies that I've had all around Australia. I think going in the residencies overseas, I become much more Australian, and I realise that Australia is where, my heart and my passion for making, my marks is all basically Australian.
I think Australian fibre artists are very distinctive in both their mark making and their design. It's very different, it seems to me. What do you think about that? Yeah,
I think so too. I think some of the first really strong fibre artists that I got involved with really enjoyed looking at some of the Western Australian artists. There was a truth about the marks that they made, and for me, with this whole journey, it was all about exploring your own individual, unique sense of marks. And that's actually what the power of all of this is all about, and continues to grow. So, I'm now drawing with stitches, I'm drawing with markers, ink, and it's now going to be finally coming into my mixed media paintings as well. And I know that I can just talk about it with so much more conviction, and I know, even if it's really quite abstract and out there, I know where it's come from, I know where I found it, I know where I've sourced the images, and there's a truth in it as well, and that's what people seem to relate to. This series here is called the Sandbag series, and it's my latest body of work. I live on the Pambula River, and I sourced these from the Pambula River mouth. I found them just embedded into the breakwater there, but they'd been previously holding up the banks of the fishermen's cottages at the river mouth, and I just thought that they deserved to be rescued and honoured in a way like this, where it can tell that story of, they're such a humble, honest sort of cloth. And that's what I love. I love rudimentary, I love utilitarian objects. And when I took them home and washed them, you could kind of see where it had all scrunched up like this, like a piece of shibori, well, is really sort of shibori. And then I pieced it together and into sort of like a semi-quilted form. But I've also used some of my brush marks in it as well. Great big one here with white inks, and found objects where I've sort of patched them all together, and I love the back as well. So I think that there's again this beautiful narrative about the containment. And then I realised as I was making them, thinking about containment, I've always had a sense of a vessel in my work as well. So this continuing from back in the 80s when I was at art school in Wollongong, I always had this series of vessels. I didn't want to touch too much of them because I thought, like pieces like this here, I was thinking about knotting them, and then I thought, no, I just wanted them to speak for themselves. So, in little found objects. And
your mark making is very free. So for people that you're working alongside, what would be the advice about if you start off with a piece of cloth or paper, about making that mark and how you get to being so free?
I think that the nature of the brushes, because we make such a variety of brushes, we'll be making 5 different ones, and you know, depending on whether they've got a curve, you don't know what the brush is going to make, and you know, it depends on how you dip it in. It's also a very special time at the very beginning making that first mark as well, because even I don't know what each mark, you know, each brush is going to make, and to push it further, explore what marks can make. And in the classes they say, oh, I can do this, and I didn't realise that I could make a mark like that. And you know, some people want to, you know, just keep on exploring more and more and more, and that's fine. I've got that sense of connection. You know, that is, you know, I've made this brush, and I also, you know, it's really important for you to be really quite quiet with it as well, especially when you're making the first mark. I might get them with the little smudgy brush to do, you know, dot, 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 but also make a line, so you can sort of explore every aspect of putting up. If it's a little flat twig, you can roll it, and that's really quite exciting. If you've made a smudgy brush with a little bit of fibres around it, you'll get these lovely spidery marks around it as well.
In a few years' time, when you come back to exhibit here at Timeless Textiles, I'm really interested to know where you're going to meander.
Well, at the last couple of weeks of getting this exhibition ready, I started working with organza and just using the mark making onto the organza with black ink and white ink. And I'd love to do an exhibition called The Conversation of Folds. So I'd like to push it a little bit further. I got excited about it and was going to have it here, but I thought, no, it's the beginning of the next series of fibre work. I love the idea that you can actually suspend them from the ceiling with I'd like to do this like cloud.
Oh, it'll be beautiful.
Landscape of clouds or
yes.
whatever. I don't know what it'll turn out like, but it will be what it will be.
Yes, it will look wonderful because this has got such large ceilings.
Yeah, I know, it's really good. It's been a pleasure working with you.
Oh, and you, Lorna.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Look forward to our opening tonight.